Welcome to the Geeks Assembled podcast. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Hello, we are Geeks Assembled and we have gathered here today. We've assembled to talk about this year's Doctor Who Christmas special, Twice Upon a Time, and it's Capaldi's last adventure, starring David Bradley as the first Doctor, Pearl Mackie, and it's obviously Jodie's first episode that she appears in, only at the end though, and it's Moffat's last as well. So let's start off with Beef Dad in Germany, actually, because usually I don't start off with Beef Dad first. So what did you make of this, Beef Dad? Did you enjoy it? What's your opening thoughts?
Yes, I enjoyed it. The performance from Peter Capaldi was absolutely brilliant. It really was just so good. Mark Gatiss is the captain. He was superb. He really was superb. And he would be the grandfather of the Brigadier. And so he gets saved by Peter Capaldi. That for me is a real piece of magic. David Bradley, who in the 50th anniversary special that they did, played William Hartnell brilliantly. But to be perfectly honest, I found his first Doctor slow, draggy. The voice wasn't quite right. I was disappointed. I like the idea of the aliens, basically the glass aliens, who could take things out of your memory and recreate, which is what they did with Nardole and Bill, and eventually, very briefly, towards the end, Clara, which was a bit of a surprise for everybody. I don't think anybody expected to see Clara. Understandably, though, it was very difficult getting her to do it. Well, fitting it in with her schedule, because she is so up to her neck in the filming of Victoria, which I confess she is absolutely brilliant in. She is brilliant as Victoria. Of course, the writing for Victoria is so much better than the writing was for her as Clara. But yeah, it was good. It was good. It kept me involved. The regeneration scene for Capaldi was just absolutely amazing. This is unusual for me to say about the man, but it was a brilliant piece of writing, and it was brilliantly acted. He did it superbly. Of course, the regeneration into Jodie Whittaker was superb. That really was just superb. And who knows what's going to happen with her at the beginning of the next one. I mean, I remember at the start of the 11th Doctor's, when the 10th regenerated into the 11th, the TARDIS went out of control and crashed in a certain young ginger-haired girl's garden. But it's something similar seems to have happened this time, which is a bit of a cheat for me and a bit of a repeat. But the thing is, she's fallen out. She's fallen out of the TARDIS, and she's just sort of heading down towards the surface of a planet. We don't know which, but probably Earth.
Yeah, it'll be Earth. Yeah.
And the TARDIS has carried on going up in the sky and looking bright. Wonder if the TARDIS is undergoing a change itself.
Maybe, yeah.
And maybe will rush down and rescue her. Who knows? Because the TARDIS did it again. It spoke to Capaldi when he was getting close to regeneration, and it was talking to him, and that was brilliant. I loved that.
Yeah, but I have to agree with you on Jenna Coleman. I don't like her in Doctor Who, but she is amazing in Victoria. I'm watching series 1 of Victoria now, and it is absolutely brilliant. She is great in that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, of course, Victoria, Jenna Coleman was that scene with Jenna Coleman was the last scene to be filmed.
Yeah.
Basically, because they weren't able to fit it in at any other time. So
Yep.
I enjoyed it.
And let's go to Brian. What are your opening thoughts, Brian, on this episode? And you're going to watch it tonight again, aren't you, in the cinema? As you've been telling us.
Yes, I am. I'm gonna see the episode again in theaters in a couple hours tonight. Twice Upon a Time. Let's see. I honestly enjoyed this. Christmas special. In fact, I enjoyed it so much. I'm seeing it again in theaters.
You never said.
But yeah, I enjoyed every minute of it. Capaldi's performance as the Doctor for the very last time, and it was just an amazing job, because to me, Capaldi, for the time that he had on Doctor Who as the Doctor, I think he was the most definitive defining Doctor within New Who. Because not only he took it upon himself as his own Doctor, but with his Doctor, it brought back some sort of classic elements to the role as well. Like, within the classic Who, you kind of get to see a few references and moments of, like, within New Who and with his Doctor. So seeing him leave, it was not really pleasant. I didn't really want him to leave. David Bradley as the first Doctor, mid-regeneration first Doctor, that is. I don't mind his portrayal of the first Doctor. I mean, he did the best that he could. I mean, it's not Hartnell. It's definitely not Hartnell. No one could replace Hartnell. But because he's the one that started the show, you can't replace Hartnell. But Bradley did the best that he could, and with the performance that he had, I honestly didn't mind it. He's just mid-regeneration first Doctor, which I didn't really understand why they had to explain why he looked different. To me, I would have preferred that they didn't explain it and just have him be the first Doctor. But what are you gonna do? So, yeah, and seeing Mark Gatiss as the captain, the Brigadier's grandfather, because Mark Gatiss himself confirmed that he was the Brigadier's grandfather. I swear, every time I hear Brigadier's theme within New Who, it gets to me. Because knowing that Nicholas Briggs is no longer with us, unfortunately, and Nicholas, is it Nicholas Briggs? Nicholas Courtney, rather. Nicholas Courtney.
I can confirm Nicholas Briggs is still around. Don't panic, Whovians who are watching this.
Okay. They both have the.
Unless you know something we don't, Brian. Are you predicting something?
Okay, they both have the first name. They both have the same first name.
Yes, a lot of people have the first name Nicholas. It doesn't matter.
Within the Doctor Who wise.
Nicholas Courtney, Brian.
All right. I mean, I know that Susan could confirm this because she's a big fan of Brigadier. But anyway. The main point is that Nicholas Courtney is no longer with us, and it was a nice little touch for the Whovian fans to see Mark Gatiss playing a relation to the Brigadier.
I want to butt in here because I want to just say I'm fed up with having references. Oh, here's the Brigadier as a Cyberman. Here's the Brigadier. Here's the Brigadier's grandfather. Why not just bring classic characters back? I know you can't bring back the Brigadier, but you can bring back classic characters. You've got all these references all the time, like the classic TARDIS coming back. You know, the original TARDIS coming back. It's been back twice now, and we have so many callbacks that are just items and stuff like that. Why can't we have actual real characters and actresses and actors?
Well, turning Brigadier into a Cyberman, I didn't like that in the what finale was that? That was series
8, yeah.
8 finale. Okay, yeah, I didn't like that. But in any case, seeing Paul Mackey back as Bill. Well, it was not really Bill, but it was. It was like her memories and her subconscious of whatever Bill was before she died, unfortunately.
Even though she didn't die, but yes, go on.
Supposedly died. Supposedly. And I was really happy to see Jenna Cohen back because she was, even though people say that she's a bit of a pain and the ultimate companion because she knows the Doctor from childhood and everything, but I honestly didn't mind Clara for when she was on. So it's nice actually to see Jenna Cohen, the scene that she could film back. And the regeneration itself was just absolutely amazing. That final farewell speech that Capaldi had. But I do have one little question with that. If anybody could ask.
Ask what?
Answered, rather.
Yeah.
When Capaldi's final word within that speech, when he says, "Doctor, I let you go." You notice how, like in The Doctor Falls, like when he was fighting the Cyberman, you see the regeneration energy when he was hit with a cyber blast.
Yeah.
He was talking to like his future self or whatever. Was he doing the same? Did he do the same thing when he was saying, "Doctor, I let you go"? Like, was that Whittaker's doctor talking to Capaldi's doctor?
He was talking to himself.
Talking to himself, yeah. He's talking to himself.
He is ready to die. He's letting himself go.
Because it seemed to me like he was talking to Whittaker's doctor.
No, he wasn't talking to Whittaker's doctor, no. Because he wouldn't know what he'd look like next. He wouldn't know he's going to be Whittaker.
Because
he's saying that to himself. I let you go, like, I let this incarnation go. And be, all this over the top of regenerations really annoys me now, actually, because it was never like that in Doctor Who. The regenerations were never like that. You know, you didn't have a great big massive speech that seemed to drag on forever, that was just bumbling around and walking around. Then he fell over and then he got back up again. I mean, at the end of it, I just thought, you know, right, you should have left before this now.
But my final thing was, before I let anybody else go,
Could have stopped ranting a minute. I'm sorry.
yeah, I just wanna another thing I want to ask, does anybody know what Whittaker's first words were?
It was, brilliant. Yeah, brilliant, I think it was, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I was just, because I asked Steven this the other day as well, but I just want to make confirm and be sure that...
yeah, no, it wasn't, yeah.
Because it was hard to understand with, like, I guess with the accent or whatever.
You'll get used to it. You will get used to it.
Yeah.
It's a Yorkshire accent. Nobody understands it, so...
Hey, that's not right.
Well, actually, I understand what you're saying, Alan. But the third, the fourth, and the fifth Doctor did sort of have a different regeneration in the fact that they did have sort of a catchy phrase or a speech, and then they sort of had a flashback callback to the previous companions.
Yeah, but now we seem to have like half a season.
Yeah, we do.
Of regeneration speeches.
The fourth Doctor
Like, it
had
was
the
half a
Watcher.
season.
I mean, Alan, come on. Really, the fourth Doctor had the Watcher for the whole, like, 2 episodes, right?
Yeah. Well, they remember too that they were also afraid of the fact that, you know, the original Tom Baker was leaving, and they didn't want to totally alienate the audience.
Well,
but
Watcher,
it was a different time.
Well, the Watcher was the fifth Doctor himself.
No, but I'm talking in terms of writing. I'm not talking about the story. I'm saying that
I know.
They had to, you know, that's also why they kept the TARDIS team of Nyssa and Tegan and Adric, you know, to try to bridge it.
But,
whereas here, I guess they've decided, you know, rightly or wrongly this time, to not have a companion to bridge it over.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the episode, Alex and Susan?
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead. All right, well.
Let's go to Alex and Susan now, because they've not say yet.
I liked it, but I didn't like it. I agree with Alan that, yeah, it's time for Moffat to retire. He should have retired years ago. Clara,
well, just from writing in general.
Yeah, Clara has been around too long, and it did kind of, you know, it would have been nice to have Bill have an actual full season. She had to come back here, spoilers, because she didn't really have a full season. It would have been nice for Capaldi to have another character. Go ahead.
Do you know what it reminded me of? You know what they used to do in like the 1600s? Like when Guy Fawkes and stuff like that was dragged through the streets, basically dying. It felt like that.
Yeah, I mean
it felt like dragging a dead horse around, to be honest.
I mean the speech wasn't bad.
A bit harsh,
it wasn't
but
great.
It kind of is the same thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, I understand why you disagree, Susan, but the thing is, I'm not sure what they were trying to do, because at the same point, it wasn't a bad Christmas special, but it wasn't as good as many of the other ones before it. And then the fact of he doesn't always have to have a farewell speech now, and it seems like that's what they've been doing. And I did like it with the 11th Doctor, even if it was overly emotional. And the story, again, dragged out. So that's the other thing that I really felt like this probably could have been told in like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. It didn't
easily.
go on for
I agree. Totally agree.
There
was
a lot 10 minutes or whatever. Also, I understand that they were trying to do sort of a tribute to the old show, but then in a way they sort of made Hartnell look a little stupid and old-fashioned, and it's kind of like I didn't quite understand. I understand they want to modernize it, but you didn't need to do that. And the other thing too is, hopefully with the new version of Who, or bringing in Whittaker, that they only do 2 episodes, hopefully less of a woman now, and go more to the fact that he is kind, but he's also a warrior. So I'm not sure if they presented it the right way. I mean, he's trying to protect the Earth. He's trying to protect the universe. He's trying to protect his companions. And so you can't always do that through total kindness, and you can't always do that through total war, even though I did enjoy, even though they didn't explain it as to why this computer or this glass avatar had so much of the history of the Doctor. And then they had to bring back the Dalek again. So I agree with Alad. They had to bring back the Dalek again. No, I understand. I know who I mean. And, you know, I mean, that's the other thing that's bad about this new Who. Stop bringing back 500 callbacks. Yes, reference it a little bit, but not too much. And I felt like half of it was, okay, we have to do this for the fans and the possibly chauvinistic fans, and then we're going to have to sort of, I don't know if it was symbolic to throw Whittaker out of the TARDIS and throw the books all around, as in, we're rewriting Doctor Who now, so all the books are...
Yeah, they're rewriting it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
so
that's totally what they're doing.
Yeah. So I thought it was cute, but I didn't quite understand it. I know they had to give Bill some time, but then again, why not just bring back the Master? It's like, well, you brought back almost everything else. You might as well have brought back the Master again. But then it's too self-referential. You know, I mean, they have to... It didn't quite seem to be written quite as well as it should have been, and it didn't seem to...
Yeah, but there's a reason for that.
Yeah, I know they did that on purpose, too.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that. It's because Moffat was never meant to write this one.
Yeah, he's not a very good writer, actually.
It was just cobbled together on the back end of a postage stamp.
No, and he can do some good stories, but yeah, but I mean, it's like he's become the producer, the savior, and the marketing of Doctor Who, and I think that's, you know, that's a little too much. You got to be a little bit more realistic. We've mentioned it before. Same villains, nobody dies, all that other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And we go to the Chamber of Death, and I'm just screaming at telling nobody's died in New Who for ages. Yeah. Nobody dies in this show. So why is there a Chamber of Death?
No, I mean, it was cute for Christmas, and it's cute some other times, but...
Everybody lived in every single episode.
But it's becoming a trope now. It's becoming its own trope, which, like I said, you know, I mean, even if you fight for the universe and all that, and even if the Doctor technically is the savior of the universe, even though that's a little arrogant if you think about it, you know, he can't always win, and he's not supposed to win at everything and save everybody. No. Otherwise, it is just a fairy tale, and the story will become very predictable, and that's it.
Yeah, he says, "Oh, I always lose people," but he doesn't.
No, he does. But the problem is the writers bring him back as
he doesn't.
Yeah, but the problem is the writers bring him back as ghosts, so it's kind of.
Yeah, he doesn't lose anybody. That's what I don't. He doesn't lose anybody ever.
Yeah, and there's supposed to be casualties of war as well. So.
Yeah. So I don't understand.
No, I mean, like I said, it is a great series, but they do need to definitely improve it, and they need to definitely. They definitely need to go back, I think, maybe to the 70s or the 80s type of the show where there was stakes and he didn't always win and he wasn't always forgiven, and it seems like he's always forgiven now.
Yeah, there's no stakes in Doctor. I totally agree with you. There's no stakes, and that's what it needs, stakes.
Okay, I just have to say, I disagree with what Alex said just now.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, you can disagree with.
I love I love the sensitivity Moffat has with you know, the nuances of the science and the science fiction and stuff like that. I don't doubt that these things are really sort of without stakes, but there is always a sort of an underlying tone of dread, even if you know, people don't have to die for stuff to be horrible. Do you understand, you guys? They don't have to die for stuff to be horrible. They can be mental games. They can be emotional games. They can be political games. These things can be as damaging as death. Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, but the problem is, can I just say something? Nobody dies. That's the problem.
It doesn't matter.
I agree with what you say,
you don't have to have death to have fear. Okay,
but the death is the doctor's companion.
That's what he said. That's what it says, but it's not always the case. Okay. Wait. Okay, you want to?
How many times was fairy tale mentioned? I just wanted to.
All right, now I understand what you're saying.
Fairy tale show.
Yeah, it's not a fairy tale. It's not supposed to be a fairy tale show.
It's not a fairy tale show.
Okay, one second though.
Not Disney princess. Don't get me wrong. I like Frozen. I like stuff like that. But it's not that. They're not going to burst out into song and dance and wake up Snow White in the end.
All right, let me let Susan finish her point.
Yeah,
now,
that's fine.
Science fiction, and if you're in a war, yes, there's supposed to be casualties. And yes, it can be different types. But the other thing, too, is also in science fiction, which, of course, they're changing because it's a TV show, there can be more robots, there can be changing of genders and other things like that. So I'm wondering, in a way, if he's technically being very sentimental to the audience when not every science fiction story or character has to be male, has to be sympathetic, has to be kind. It is good if the doctor is kind, but that doesn't mean every story has to be.
Okay. What war? It isn't a war. It isn't always a war. It can be a political mess, like what we have going on the earth today. That's really what he's reflecting. We're not in actual knockdown, drag out, everybody dies war. I mean, we're in political messes all over, though.
Okay, but
that's
the Dalek is not necessarily, they weren't supposed to be his friends. They were supposed to be his enemies.
I got that.
Changed that too.
Right, because one character changes doesn't mean the whole, social structure of the Daleks has necessarily become benevolent. It's still a threat.
All right, but
the Master is still a threat, even if he's dead. Because he always comes back.
It's fiction.
I got it. It's fiction. But I'm saying that you don't have to have death to have dread.
Okay, are you forgetting that in the story itself?
You might need another one, Lee.
Yeah, Lethbridge Stewart was pointing a gun at somebody, and a German soldier was pointing a gun.
And that was during Armistice Day, the day that everybody drops their weapons and plays football.
Okay,
yeah, but that
was in the middle of a war, and it was a moment of dread, not a moment of death. Do you guys get it?
I know.
We
understand.
You don't get it because you're arguing with me.
I understand that. Wait, hold on. I understand that. Is that nobody dies in the show? It's always.
You don't have to have death to have dread.
You do in some episodes. The has to lose.
I'm sorry. If it's not a war, people don't have to frickin' die, Alex or Alad.
No.
And Alex.
But that's fine.
God,
it's fine. It's fine to disagree. It's fine to.
No, I mean, but the problem is the episodes are always sentimental now. That's the problem.
They're always sentimental. Yes, I agree.
I'm sorry. I've seen it differently, and I disagree. I think that Moffat writes to the nuances of dread, not the nuances of death. Okay. That's a difference of opinion, boys.
That's fine. No, that's fine. If you think, no, that's fine. I completely, if that's what you think and that's how you see it and that's what you like, that's completely fine.
1 second, let Lee jump in.
Yeah, so the way Moffat writes war, nobody ever dies in war. And that really is coming across over on the screen for the young generation. It's very misleading.
Yeah.
Okay, but it is escapism, and I mean when you're walking down the street and you see people shot every dang day, and you're getting run over on the streets of New York, or you're getting killed in the streets of Cairo, or the streets of Jerusalem right now, or you're going to
hold a minute. but
You
there was
you've got
only
bombs going off. It doesn't matter that the science fiction doesn't have to show war as a bloody mess. It can show war as a political statement and a dread instead of all the death all the time. I mean, if you want death and that sort of thing, watch Game of Thrones. Watch another show that's all about frickin' death. You don't have to.
Wait there.
Why
You don't even know. You don't need to show like gruesome death to know somebody has died. You don't.
All right,
need
everybody around. Okay, just FYI, everybody around the captain and his crew right there. Everybody around them was dying. There was blood and massacres everywhere in World War I, in the Great War. Just FYI. I mean, that was not a deathless moment. It was a deathless center of peace in the sea of awfulness. Okay? Okay, this is why I think that this is why they move towards a female doctor, is because they're in the difference of opinion in male versus female is that women see dread without death, and men tend to see death as like the final answer, whereas women have been suffering a different.
Hey, can I just ask? Is that what you you're saying that to us as men?
I'm saying that as just a difference of opinion and perspective between men and women. Everybody else in this cast is male except for me.
But I just want to say I see everybody as each individual person and as each individual.
Do they have to die to be in danger? No, they can get screwed up in the head. They can get screwed up in the heart. They can get screwed up in the body, and those are equally devastating as dying. Okay.
Can I just? All right. Well. First of all, I wasn't trying to say gender. I wasn't trying to say gender of any kind. I think that it would have been slightly more practical, although I understand that he probably wanted it to appeal to a family audience. That they did. I think I would have respected it more had somebody said in the show, you know, have you suffered a casualty? Are you injured? Something to remind the audience that, yes, you probably will get injured or die in war. If he doesn't want to show it, or he wants to do a Christmas special, so he wants to be more sentimental, that's absolutely fine. I'm not asking for blood. I don't want to see that. So that, just because I'm a male, that doesn't mean I want to see blood either.
I know that.
And I'm not advocating that at all.
No, nor am I. Nor am I. I'm totally with Alex. I'm not advocating we see blood and guts.
Well, it doesn't appear so. That's why I don't watch The Walking Dead and the Game of Thrones, because I don't want to see people getting chomped on or stabbed or whatever.
I agree, but there has to be consequences, doesn't there, Alex? There has to be consequences, and there has to be death. It doesn't have to be gory. I don't like Game of Thrones. I don't like things like that. But I like to have death in a show because it brings weight and it brings meaning. When you bring Clara back every 5 minutes, when you bring Bill back every 5 minutes, there's no meaning, there's no weight to the show.
Well, then
there's
again,
takes it away.
Yeah, well, the issue with that is not only is it repetitive and writing almost the same thing. That's the issue that I have with it. But the fact of, if you bring them back every 5 minutes, that's almost too romantic, because that's the point of Doctor Who. He meets somebody, he tries to help a problem or a war. It's not always a war. It could be a conflict as well. So in some ways, I actually got mad that the computer said, oh, he's a man of war. That's not always true. That's very simplistic. So
yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, yeah. So I understand that, Susan. But what I'm saying is, if you always have a happy ending, if you always have the characters come back, then it does become a fairy tale, because even in the good fairy tales, people were supposed to die, because then the people that were living, it mattered even more, because those were the people that survived. I understand he wanted to be sweet, but I would have just appreciated a little bit more of if Lethbridge Stewart hadn't been so really friendly. I mean, it's like you're in war, you're getting a gun pointed at you, but he doesn't seem to have any shock. He doesn't seem to have any guilt. You know what I mean? It just seemed kind of very, very quick.
Okay, the Hannah Haseman Hatt, who's the granddaughter of the one who wrote the thing, says that he isn't the grandson, or the brigadier isn't his grandson. It's his great nephew. This is his great uncle, because it can't be the grandfather has already been written in books. And
no, it's the grandfather. No, it is. Books. Mark Gatiss has said. Mark
Gatiss doesn't have authority over the intellectual property of the brigadier and his family. The Hasemans do, and she said that he's his great uncle, and the writer of the Lethbridge Stewart novels and the producer, the creator of that, Andy Frankham-Allen, said that he is the brigadier's great uncle because the other two characters have already been written and already been accepted by the Haseman estate. Okay, that's just FYI. That's
that's fine.
That's super geeky stuff there, but that's what's up. Anyway. Anyway, I love the Brigadier, and I'm totally psyched that they referenced him again. I loved the cyber break. I don't care. I mean, I see that if you get turned into a Cyberman, that's a pretty lousy thing to have happen. So of course that's something that we need to work against. Anyway, you don't have to die to have to have a thing.
I always find Classic Who much better because people do die.
Ugh, sorry.
Because it has more meaning.
All right, none of the cavemen died. I mean, the Romans, you never saw any of them die. You never saw the French revolutionaries die. You don't see the death in Classic Who. I disagree. Okay.
We better move on because otherwise we'll be running.
Going way off the special here.
Let's go to Lee since he's unmuted. Lee.
Well, I just want to say, okay, you may not see the death on screen, but you know about it in the classic.
Okay, go ahead.
Right, let's go back to the episode.
What was the episode again? I can't remember.
It was a very Twice Upon a Time. It was a very lackluster episode for me, to be honest. It was rehashed ideas, what Stephen Moffat has written before. The Neversphere, the Silence in the Library, it's all from that. All, memories of dead people stored somewhere and everything like that. He just rehashed all the ideas, which really peeves me off because he's got no originality. The portrayal of the First Doctor, I just think he really, there was no point of him being there. He was just for decoration, to be honest. They didn't serve the First Doctor very well because in the classic era, he was never a sexist. He never made polish the TARDIS console or anything like that. That was just there to make out sexism. So Capaldi could go, oh, you shouldn't say that. That was getting on my nerves as well. Capaldi keeps stopping him saying stuff like, please don't do that. Because that Doctor was never like that. Agree with Beef Dad. The look of Bradley as Doctor, yes, brilliant, but the voice just wasn't there. I know it's a different act, but at least it could have mimicked him a bit, I suppose, but it didn't happen. What else is there? The effects of the glass people was very naff, to be honest. I thought it looked very cheap. And I would say that Capaldi should have regenerated at the end of the Doctor Falls because this was just a prolonged hour. And that speech at the end just seemed to go on forever, to be honest.
It rambled. It rambled. Was the word.
And Capaldi wrote that.
Yeah, it rambled on. But I do agree. I think the problem is with this, Capaldi just stayed too long. He stayed one episode too long. The Dr. Falls had wonderful, wonderful, amazing speeches. Like, I do this because it's right, because it's kind, because even if just one person lives, then that's kind of good enough. But in this was just, everything he was saying was rehashed from the Dr. Falls about kindness. Yes, we told that in the Dr. Falls. Nice. Yeah. It was just all rehashed. And to be honest, I felt like Capaldi didn't want to be there. I got he actually wants to be there.
But maybe he was playing it that way. But maybe he was playing it that way because he was on his last legs and he was weak. Maybe I don't know if that's the way he was playing it, but I got the feeling
possible. Yeah,
he seemed like he wasn't interested anymore, sort of thing. But maybe he was just playing it that way.
Because to him.
But for me,
yeah, because to him, that Dr. Falls was going to be his last one originally. That was his original last one, and then he had to do Christmas. So he'd basically done all his great speeches in the Dr. Falls. So when he came to this one, it was just an adventure too many. And by the end of it, I was thinking, I'm glad Jodie's here, sadly.
But for me, but as I say, for me, the main disappointment for me was the portrayal of Hartnell.
But what did you think?
For the Doctor, I mean.
What did you think about Clara? Because I have to say that was some bad green screen. I'm sorry.
She wasn't there, was she? That was a green screen edited in. Yeah.
That was really bad.
To be honest, I don't even think that was the proper body. I think it was just the head what recorded.
Yeah, I agree because she did. Yeah. She was just like stood there, wasn't she? Yeah. I agree with that. I think it was just the head superimposed. Yeah. Onto
it was nice to see Nardal again. It was nice to see Nardal again, and it did make me laugh when he went up there and went cuddle. But I thought that
he's got glass nipples.
He's got, and also as well, why do they keep having to, as I say, ass?
The Daleks.
Bill.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. All right.
I'm sorry. And then they get the first Doctor to come out and say, do that again, young lady, I'll spank you. Why?
Yeah, I mean, what was this? A joke to Sean Connery or something? It just seemed kind of unnecessary.
But the glass joke about women as well was a bit...
Yeah, but it was unnecessary. It was sort of crapping on the legacy of Hartnell's first Doctor, to be honest.
Yeah. What about?
This is the thing. He didn't write the first Doctor as the first Doctor. He wrote the first Doctor how a 60s gentleman would possibly be, the how he would be. The Doctor's not a human.
If I just may interrupt here for a second, Moffat said if you go back to rewatch Classic Who with Hartnell's era.
Yes, have you done that, Brian?
Moffat said that that's the way that Hartnell was within.
No, I disagree.
No,
I disagree.
No, that's wrong.
But even if it was, what about the second Doctor? What about the third Doctor? What about the fourth Doctor? So, I mean, to me, in a way, it was like, okay, guys, I could understand a couple of jokes to make fun of the old era, but it seemed like it was going to like 15 jokes of making fun of the
problem is
it's not necessary. It's not necessary.
The problem is it was the main focus of what he was going for with the character. It was the main focus he was putting on the character. If it was just one or two lines made, but it wasn't just one.
Yeah, it was like 15 or something.
Yeah. So really like, we have to prove this point.
Make the first Doctor look bad.
We have to make fun of the old show. We have to make fun of the old show.
So that's probably why they didn't bring back Susan and they brought the captain in. Yeah, probably. Because they wouldn't want to treat the first Doctor with such such a lot of junk without with Susan there, so they had to couple him with somebody else.
Everybody hold your thoughts a second, because we do need to go to Stephen Price for his thoughts, because he might, will he agree with? Will he agree with me and Lee?
God, I thought I was never going to be called.
Don't worry, your numbers come up in the end. It's like the doctor's waiting room, isn't it?
You're on about death in Doctor Who, the new series. You forget one thing. How many times did Rory die and come back?
Right. Yeah, every episode, didn't he?
Yeah. Right, last night's episode, I started watching it. I liked the 10th Planet, and you see, William Hartnell talking, and then you see, David Bradley. I thought that was very well done. I carried on watching it, and when it came to what's her name? I forgot her name.
Bill
came in it. I turned the volume down, and I fell asleep. I fell asleep on the bed for half an hour.
So you haven't watched the whole episode?
So no, I had to watch it later then on Daily Motion. The reason why I fell asleep, because I was so stuffed with bleeding turkey and the Christmas dinner.
Well, usually you eat it, but never mind. Whatever floats your boat.
David Bradley's portrayal, First Doctor, not so good as Adventures in Space and Time, because that was written and directed by Mark Gatiss. And his portrayal of him in that was amazing. It was like a bit of too much of a, I like the bit where he said, "Oh, I've been burgled." I didn't like that. I didn't like the sexist remark, like, I'm going to slap your bottom. William Hartnell would never have said that. My favourite part has got to be with the soldiers at the end.
And who was he saying?
And when he's holding the gun against the German, that's another Doctor Who writer. What's his name? Toby?
Oh, Toby Whithouse.
Yeah, Whithouse, yeah. Yeah,
but I mean, even he apologized many times for even talking like that. So that didn't make him.
Actually, they froze him most of the time, didn't he?
Well, he's a writer, to be fair.
I enjoyed the episode. When you come around later now, I shall say the bad points and the good points.
Okay, can I
just say so? I asked my brother actually what he thought of this episode, and my brother said, "Well, it would have been all right if they just shut up."
Well, I mean, with all
there was far too much talking in it.
Yeah, it was a lot of talking in it. Now, maybe I understand that I'm not a huge fan of the First Doctor, but I understand Chesterton, who he always mispronounced,
Ian,
Barbara, who even when he was mean to her, the William Hartnell actor and the First Doctor character, he always apologized. So I really would be shocked if he was walking around going, "Smack your bottom." He might have said that once.
He said that second season.
Okay, but remember too that this was also.
What did Susan say?
He said that I'll give you a jolly good smacked bottom in the second season.
Okay.
To who did he say that to? I can't remember.
I can't remember either right now,
All right,
but it's true.
Right.
It was
If that was Susan, you've got to remember, Susan is his granddaughter. If that was Susan, that is a totally separate thing to then saying it to somebody is not your granddaughter. But that's totally separate.
But again, Hartnell wasn't quite as inflexible as people remember him for. I mean, remember too, this is the same actor that was sick, and there was times when he couldn't even pronounce Chesterton's name, and he's in the show. And
I would have loved if there was Hartnellisms in it. I would have loved if he pronounced.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Beef Dad.
Chatterton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, you know, I think that was the other thing too. That I think that actually I would have believed this portrayal in this episode, this story, would have been more effective if he had done more stuttering, because I know that's the impression that the first Doctor gave me. And just like the second Doctor, he was doing a little bit of the, you know, being nervous and all that. But then when you got him mad or when he made up his mind, then he told you off very nicely. You know what I mean? Right, and strongly. So I didn't feel that.
Not sort of slow. Like,
right. So, you know,
Beef Dad was saying.
no, slow is okay as long as you're firm. But the problem is, it did feel like a caricature of the first Doctor, unfortunately, in this episode. And it's just disrespectful to the classic show. Yes, there were stereotypes, but there's stereotypes and tropes and everything. But the thing is, the reason why the Doctor changed is not only for continuing the show and having a new actor, but the fact that if you really watched every episode, and if you really, and then there's Big Finish and there's other written stories, the Doctor does change. He doesn't stay the same.
Yeah, but
and the some of the caricatures are undeserved.
I want to say something as well, is that we look back, like this episode was looking back how the Doctor was meant to be according to Stephen Moffat, and how things have changed. Yeah. But in 50 years from now, there'll be things in Series 10 that we go, oh, how could they have let that in there? How could they have done that or said this in 50 years? Because attitudes are always changing, you know, for better or for worse, whether you agree or not. Attitudes are always changing. So each series of Doctor Who will probably have, each era will probably have something.
Well, no, but
that's not acceptable now.
Yeah, but Chesterton was a strong character. Barbara was a strong character.
Barbara was a strong character
in the original show. Susan became a strong character. And then when it went to the second Doctor, he had Zoe. Zoe was just as smart as the Doctor, if not getting close to it. So some of it is a caricature. What makes me a little bit annoyed, I agree with Lee, is that it really played too much on the tropes of the Doctor Who stereotypes.
Another thing
and that's not what the show should be either.
Another thing that Moffat keeps on going on about is why the Doctor left Gallifrey. How many times has this come up now?
Yeah, I mean,
this has come up loads of times, why the Doctor left Gallifrey. And now he left Gallifrey to find out what good and evil means.
Well, the
Doctor left Gallifrey because he wanted to go and explore.
Well, no, but isn't the other issue the fact that, the second Doctor did say there was evil in the universe and it had to be fought. And Hartnell's representation in this special also said that too, even though it was a very shortened version. But the thing is, I thought that was the whole point of New Who and Moffat, was that the audience didn't have to be spoon-fed, and yet he's constantly contradicting himself.
Yeah, Lee, go ahead. Is it the Daleks?
Well, no, I'm not even going to go down the rusty route. What I'm going to say is also, as well, Capaldi's Doctor showed no respect to the first Doctor in this. Calling him Mr. Pastry, Mary Berry.
I thought that was funny, though.
It may have been funny, but then if you go back to the three Doctors, the second and third Doctor showed the first Doctor respect. They listened to him. There was no name calling or anything like that. I thought that was a bit, you know, I mean, he's the first Doctor. You show a bit of respect.
He was the comedic. He was the comedic part of the episode. Really, he was the comedic.
They were making fun of the first Doctor, and I think that is just out of order.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is how this. Yeah, go on.
That's Moffat, who says he's a fan of the classic era, and he's just totally destroyed the legacy of the Hartnell Doctor in one episode.
You see, this is the problem. New Who fans are going to think, oh, that's exactly how Hartnell was. I've never seen an episode of Hartnell, but that must have been how he was. And that's how they're going to think, you know what, he is.
I won't watch any of that. I won't watch any of that Sexist Pigs episode.
Yeah, yeah.
But as I said, in the classic Who, there was also strong women characters, and that's the way it's been all the way through.
There's always been strong women characters. This is what I don't understand.
That's another thing that I don't like. Just because something's old doesn't mean that it's out of date. Just because something's old doesn't mean that women aren't held with any respect. Because he had Barbara in the first Doctor, you had Polly, you had Susan in the second, you had Zoe, you had another person as well. Jamie stood up to the Doctor as well.
Yeah, Vicky.
You had Vicky.
Every female companion the Doctor's ever had has been strong.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah.
Everyone.
And it shouldn't be about the companion. It should be about the companions. It should be about the Doctor.
You see, that's the way that's like what I said before. That's what Moffat saw within Classic Who with Hartnell's Doctor. Like he said, if you go look back, that's how Hartnell was with the Doctor.
No, he's seen one scene from the Five Doctors where the first Doctor tells Tegan to go and make the tea. That's what he's seen. That's what he's seen. That's what he's taken from. Seen one scene. That's what he's done.
Yeah, but even when that happened in the Five Doctors,
that's what he's done.
The Fifth Doctor smoothed it over. He said, I used to be a bit tetchy. He insulted himself. He didn't insult Tegan. He didn't insult the First Doctor. He said, I used to be a bit tetchy, or I'm not the man I was, thank goodness. And that's the way it should have been written.
Well, I'll tell you now, Brian, I think you should go back and watch Hartnell's, and you tell us when you discover these things in these episodes.
No, I'm not saying that's what I think. I'm just saying.
No, just saying. But you will not find them.
I know I won't, because I've got like a few Hartnell stories on DVD, and I know that's not how Hartnell was. Yeah.
So does anybody else have anything to add on this episode? Does anybody else, because we've talked...
Yes, who's buzzing?
Who's buzzing? Just stop now.
Yeah,
I think Susan and Alex.
Part where the soldiers were shaking hands. I was expecting Paul McCartney to appear and sing the Pipes of Peace.
That would be good. Oh, and Beef Dad, did you want to say something? Did you want to add something? You can speak now. Finally.
Yeah, the one thing that not everyone seems to have ignored and was everybody's been talking about regenerations, but nobody has mentioned the regeneration of the Second Doctor into the Third Doctor, which was actually forced by the Time Lords.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that regeneration was forced on the Second Doctor.
That's what I just said.
I know.
Bless him. His mind's gone completely at last. This is opening up a whole new set of possibilities for Doctor Who. And every time there has been a regeneration, it has opened up a whole new set of possibilities, which is why it has gone on for over 50 years now. And I think we need to trust Jodie Whittaker with it at the moment, because she's an award-winning actress and a big fan of the show. And I believe that she will try and stay as true to Doctor Who as any other Doctor has. So I would say that, yeah, okay, yeah, suddenly we've got a female Doctor. And as a man who has watched every single episode since the first one aired in 1963, I am not horrified. I'm quite looking forward to see how she progresses. And the thing is, there's so many possibilities now.
Yeah. And my dad,
Possibly.
yeah, go on.
Yeah.
And my dad has seen every single episode, and he's seen the first ever one, and he feels exactly the same as Beef Dad. He's excited. He's wanted a female doctor for donkey's years. He's always said to me, why can't the doctor be female? And I said, well, they can do it if they want to. And he's really happy. He's pleased. He thinks it's a whole new, it's exciting for the show. It's exciting. This isn't the end. This isn't the end. This is a new beginning. And it's incredibly exciting. And Jodie's scene, that regeneration, Rachel Talalay, I have to say, amazing. Absolutely stunning. A stunning regeneration. Completely. The way the TARDIS fell apart, seeing through Jodie's eyes and seeing her face on the monitor, you know, when she pulled it round, and then the TARDIS, the column itself, like, blew up, didn't it, with the fire going up it. It was amazing. It was amazing. That was the most amazing part of the episode.
I think the TARDIS is also regenerating.
Yeah.
I just want to also say that I'm also looking forward to Whittaker's portrayal and performance as her doctor, because I'm open-minded, and I think this will be a whole new generation worth of Doctor Who. I think maybe this could be a landmark within Doctor Who history.
It is. No, it already is. It already is a landmark moment in Doctor Who. Yes,
because this is a big change within Doctor Who. But I really can't wait until Whittaker's portrayal of the Doctor. Okay. I'm really looking forward for her to shine and rise and shine within Doctor Who. So.
Okay, well, the other thing, too, is in science fiction, if you read science fiction books, which they don't really do, unfortunately, in TV, it is more gender-based. In science fiction books, it's more gender-neutral. And remember that the Doctor has always said that Earthlings and Earth are his favorite planet and species. So actually, the gender should not matter. But we'll see how the writing is, and we'll see how the companions are. We now know that there will be more than one, so that'll be refreshing. And also now we have a female doctor. So as long as they don't dwell on it every single minute or every single episode, hopefully we will get back to better writing, more original writing, and there will be more companions. So it will be not constantly based on one companion, which technically is kind of boring.
See,
so hopefully we'll see a little bit more variety.
See, that's where it is for me. It's not Jodie, it's the writing. For me, it's the writing has to be good. I think Jodie's going to be amazing.
And she fell out of the TARDIS?
Yeah.
And so there's no zero room. There's no TARDIS matrix around her. Her regeneration could be a little at the beginning because she has none of the strength and props of her actual companion, the TARDIS.
Yeah. Did you like the regeneration scene though, Susan? You liked it? You enjoyed it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And I look forward to her. I mean, I'm part of the group that says that this is going to be great. And
I'm with you, Susan, on this.
And I really think that the part of the reason for the way it was written was to aim it towards that. I mean, I do think that, and I think that since about, midway through series 7, it's been aiming that way. Like they've just been, changing.
Female doctor, you mean?
Yeah,
heading towards a female doctor. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Like they've been changing the makeup of the fear, making it more, subtle than either death, like I said earlier. That's just my opinion. I really am just voicing that opinion about the way it's been written since Series 7. I just see it changed then. So anyway.
I think there should have been a female Doctor in the classic series. I think there should have been a female Doctor in the 80s. I think it would have been less controversial as it is now. I think it's more controversial now, really, because the way the world is, because the world is so divided. You're either in one camp or another camp. It's like Brexit. Nobody can be in the middle. It's like Trump. Nobody can be in the middle. You're either for or against something. I think the world is far more opinionated and divisive than ever. And I think if it was done in the 80s, I don't think it would have been as bigger of a problem as it is now.
Okay, but I would like to reiterate again. You always had strong. Sarah Jane was a strong female character.
Sarah Jane was a feminist.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
So they can change again, depending on the writing and depending on how many companions there are. The show can be different depending on what it's able to do in the time allotted. Remember too that this is technically a low-budget show. It was a cult show. It got really big in America in the 70s with Tom Baker and Peter Davidson, and they've had limitations. That's why it's good that you have Big Finish in the books, because they can have more stories. They can have more points of view. They can have more characters that you can't have in the TV show. But again, I just hope that the new show tries more variety, brings in new villains, has more companions, so you can get away from this sort of myopic view that Doctor Who has had and the stereotypes that have followed it a little too long.
But wait there, because
the other thing is, just one more thing about the 80s, to piggyback off those comments, is that in the 80s was when Chris Chibnall was the president of the Doctor Who Appreciation Society.
Criticizing the show. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was aiming fire at JNT, at John Nathan Turner.
And Pip and Jane Baker.
And Pip and Jane Baker,
He really has to deliver the goods now after what he said to them.
Yeah.
Well, but we've got to remember, not everybody agrees with a female Doctor, and there are people in this cast who don't agree with a female Doctor. So let's hear from either Stephen, Price, or Lee. Who wants to go first? Stephen, we haven't heard from you in a while. What did you think of the regeneration scene and Jodie?
Yeah, good regeneration scene. The reason why Capaldi kept it on a bit, I think, is to do with some convention he was at. Something. I can't go there. I'll have to read the article again.
Oh, yes, I know what you mean. A fan came up with his last lines, didn't a fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was his final speech was inspired by a young fan. Yes.
I'm sorry, but I'm not impressed with Jodie Whittaker. No way.
Say again, we can't hear you. You've gone quiet.
I'm not impressed with Jodie Whittaker, I'm afraid.
But you liked the regeneration scene?
Yeah.
But you won't be watching Jodie's series?
It's got to come from somebody very high up, like Lee Wilson, to say, Steve, it's good.
Lee Wilson, I wouldn't say. Lee's not going to watch it anyway. Is that what you call it? Do you, as in high up, do you mean north? It's got to come from somebody north.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean by high up? Because that's the only way Lee's going to be high.
Yorkshire, from Yorkshire.
Yeah, up north, yeah.
Said, oh, brilliant. I understood that straight away because my mother's from Yorkshire anyway.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go then. And Lee, what did you think of the regeneration and Jodie? And you can be honest as much as you want, Opinions are all welcome here.
She pressed one button, and the TARDIS kicked her out. What more can you say for that, eh? There's the future of the show.
Yeah, it's like the TARDIS wasn't happy of
Or,
Hey.
wait there. Or was the TARDIS saving her? The TARDIS was blown up anyway. It was probably saving her.
Are you saying women can't drive?
No, the TARDIS was saving her.
Oh,
The TARDIS was saving her.
I don't. Brian, it's my go. Shut up.
Yeah. Go on then, Lee. What do you think? What's your opinion on regeneration?
Brian,
Let Lee have his say. Otherwise it'll be forever.
I'm only messing about. I'm having a joke. It was a regeneration, wasn't it? That's what can you say? Every regeneration now seems the same. There's no different effect at all. Because before, every Doctor had different effects when they regenerate. For the past few ones, it's been the same ones. Fires out their arms, out their heads. No difference. I did like that Capaldi's last thing you saw Capaldi was his eyes.
Yes, that was good. Yeah, I agree with that.
Because they were the first things we saw of him, and they were the last. But apart from that, yes, I will. I won't be joining any new Who casts from now on, because.
But we will be doing them.
You will be doing them, but I will be joining.
We will be doing them. Yeah.
I have stated many times, I'm just not behind a female Doctor. I grew up. This is where I just differ with Beef Dad. Everybody has different opinion, but for me, the Doctor is a male. Nothing against Jodie or anything like that, but what really has made my mind up to go is the fandom. It is very, very toxic, and I can't be doing with it anymore. I've been called things what I wouldn't want to repeat on here, because apparently if you're not for a female Doctor, you're sexist, and I'm not sexist at all. It's just the thing. I always think the Doctor should be a man. That's it. It's nothing to do with, sexism. And as well, it's a very, very and the toxic stuff is mainly coming from the pro-female fans. And I think Ali will vouch for this because he's seen.
Yes, there is a lot of stuff. Yeah.
You
said that you're not a true fan. You're not a true fan because you're not going to watch it.
You're not a true fan, and I do not like that. You're not. Of course, I'm a fan. I love the show, but for me, the fan has made the decision for me, and I'm not sticking with this now. I'll stick with what I've had before. I'll stick with the classics. I'll stick with the audios, but I just can't go forward with it anymore. The fandom is so divided. It's unbelievable. And Moffat and that lot saying there's no division, there's no backlash. There is.
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
there really is. And that's it. That's it for me. Doctor Who ended on Christmas Day 2017 for me. I'm sorry to say that because I do love the show, and me saying I'm not going on people saying I'm not a true fan, that hurts as well. Wow. So I'm sorry to say, but that's it for me from now on.
Okay. Well, actually, if you don't want to watch the show anymore, you don't have to. And
exactly, it's everybody's choice, isn't it? It's personal.
And there's other people that I've met that they only like the 4th Doctor, or they only like the 5th Doctor, or they only like the 10th Doctor. I've also met people that they only read the books because they don't want to deal with the budget constraints of Doctor Who.
Well, that's fine. People's own choice.
I got a friend who loves Doctor Who, loves Tom Baker. His favourite is Tom Baker, and he stopped watching it because of K9. He hated that dog.
That's K9.
I've also got to say, as of this week, we had a member leave our group because I would not conform to that way of thinking. Ali did vouch for that as well. He left our group because I would not conform and go along with everybody else cheering Jodie on. Everybody is allowed a difference of opinion. And if people can't see that, I am not becoming a Cyberman and to conform to just one.
I think you're already heading in that direction, Lee. With the
No,
headphones.
no,
You're heading in that
No,
direction.
but, you know, that's just, I'm sorry the guy left our group, but if he felt just because I wouldn't conform to that thinking, I think that's a bit ridiculous.
Well,
but there you go.
It's that I didn't watch Matt Smith's era because I didn't like his Doctor and I didn't like the writing, so I just stopped watching. I stopped, and I came back when, you know, I obviously watched the 50th because I wanted to, because I was really hoping that there'd be classic Doctors and that in it. But I did come back with Peter Capaldi. But yeah, people don't have to watch every era or enjoy every era of Doctor Who.
Well,
there's going to be a Doctor you don't like, and there's going to be an era you don't like.
Right, exactly.
Well, one day I may return.
Can I just say that these people that are saying, these people who are bashing people who are not going to watch, and they're all for Chibnall and they're all for Jodie, they're usually the first ones to turn around if it's crap and saying it's crap and not watching. Because what happens if it's crap? Nobody yet can really say 100% what is going to happen. And it's the same thing on the other side as well. People who say that they're not going to watch. Now, I know Lee is definitely not going to watch, but there are people who are saying, I'm not going to watch, I'm not going to watch, and they're absolutely outraged. Just like the Great British Bake Off, which moved to Channel 4, but then, guess what? It was a huge success on Channel 4, and everybody forgot that it was ever on BBC One, or Mary Berry was in it, or Mel and Sue. People move on, so there's going to be a lot of people who are saying they're not going to watch, but they will watch, and they'll forget the Doctor was ever a male. Because that's, people forget. People have very, very short-term memories.
Well, I mean, here's another thing, too. You know, the BBC, which unfortunately is partially a dinosaur, is also forgetting that people can watch it on DVD, they can buy it on the internet, they can watch it on the internet, they can stream it on the internet. So this nonsense of you have to have 12 million people watching every week, they should be grateful if anybody's discussing the show after 50 plus years anyway. So whether it's male or female, you can have almost every job now, almost, you have male or female persona now. So hopefully they will move on. They will only address it once or twice and say, hey, just because I'm an alien or I'm a female alien doesn't mean I don't love humans, doesn't mean I don't love planet Earth. You can take it from a different perspective, maybe, but again, it depends on the writing. And technically, he's an alien who has 1,000 lives, or the Doctor is an alien who has 1,000 lives. So this gender, yeah, it's maybe a slight issue, but if he has 1,000 lives, he's going to change
the way I look at it, Alex,
anyway. Yeah.
The way I look at it, there's fish in our oceans that can swap gender.
Right.
There's fish in the oceans that can change gender. Now, if they can change gender, I'm sure that Time Lords have worked it out too. Well, we know they have because we've seen it in Modern Who. But do you get what I mean? If there's fish in our oceans that can do it, then I'm sure Time Lords could do it without a problem.
And the other thing too is
since they were born or whatever.
Right. And the other issue is I can watch all the different versions of Sherlock Holmes. I can watch all the different versions of James Bond. Doesn't mean I'm not a fan. I can watch all of them or I can watch none of them if I want to. I can read all the books, and there's books on James Bond still going on, even though Fleming died many, many decades ago. There's even people that want Agatha Christie books, and that's not right either. But, you know, you can watch and listen and read many different types of characters. They had books of Star Trek that were in the future. The animated series was in the future. You had books that they had the Enterprise still continuing. So you can be a fan, just, you know, have a little perspective, and we still have our lives, whether we're fans of Doctor Who or not. And it's our choice if we want to support the show or not. We certainly don't make it, and we certainly don't produce it, because if I had produced it, there'd be a lot of Time Lords running around, Chinese and African and the Ronnie would come back. So if I could produce it,
Whoop,
there'd be a
whoop.
lot more Time Lords to talk about.
That's right.
Yeah, come on, bring the Ronnie back.
Alex is a lot about Time Lords. It's true. You get that when you talk to this fella. Anyway.
Yeah, let's go to, because I just remembered we've got to do final say and score of this episode. I forgot we were actually talking about an episode here. Let's go to Beef Dad since he went first. Final say and score of Twice Upon a Time.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was well directed, mostly, with the possible exception of David Bradley. But I don't know how much of that was David Bradley himself. Yeah, and nobody has really mentioned it, but at the moment in the bomb crater during World War One was brilliantly done by Mark Gatiss and the other guy. Really was very, very good. Yeah, I get a 9 out of 10 for me.
Stephen Price?
Yeah, very. I enjoyed the episode. Not the first time because I fell asleep.
Did you enjoy the sleep? Did you have a good sleep?
Oh yeah, I enjoyed the sleep.
What would you rate the sleep out of 10?
Oh, 10 out of 10.
Oh, there we go.
The episode, I'd give it 9.5 out of 10.
Oh, but you preferred the sleep. What does that say? Brian. Oh no, Brian will be right back. Susan and Alex, final say and score.
I would give it a 10 out of 10. And I look forward to Chibnall. He better stand up and do what he said he was going to do in the 80s.
Yeah.
I just got to say that. And I would like Susan to come back still.
It's not going to happen.
No. Alec, just let me have my pipe dream, okay?
Okay.
We got Brigadier's great uncle, Papa Brigadier, as I like to call this guy. Anyway.
Papa Brigadier. I love that.
Sadly, I would have to give this a 7. David Bradley, while a wonderful actor, it was just too heavy with the sexist 1960s, I'm an old man kind of ambiance. And as somebody said here, we don't know if that was purpose or accidental. It is very romantic, very sentimental, and I would have appreciated a little bit more realism. I would have appreciated a little bit more, are you hurt or something a little bit more toward that line. I don't know why all Capaldi's companions have to come back. It just seems to take away from the science fiction part of it and turn it more into science fantasy, which I know Doctor Who is, but it was written and it has been written a little bit more gritty. Hopefully the fans will see the original First Doctor. Hopefully Capaldi was a very good actor, but his stories and his companions either were too quick or they stayed on too long.
Mm-hmm.
But Capaldi was a very good actor, still is. I hope he's in Big Finish, the audios, guys. And I hope that, and he did do a lot for the fans of the show. He didn't go around asking for a lot of money or agents or charging a lot of money at conventions and things like that. The regeneration scene was good because this is a director that they've used more than once, who was also directing some Nightmare on Elm Street movies as well. So that's an interesting tidbit. The regeneration scene was good. Didn't make a lot of sense, but Doctor Who's always been a little wild and fantastic. Hopefully there will be more companions. Hopefully there will be more points of view in the show. And hopefully it will be written better with more consequences, not less. And hopefully, because the Doctor Who character does a lot of things that are very humane, but it's also very risky. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to constantly bring the companions back. It doesn't make a lot of sense to have the exact same villains come back every 5 minutes. It's getting old. They need to go back to better writing and better stakes and better consequences. And hopefully the new Doctor Who, which is female, which is fine because it's an alien, so it doesn't have to be male all the time. So
and Brian, final say and score
Oh, it's my turn.
of Twice Upon a Time. It's not the first episode of Series 11 yet. It's getting close to it, actually. We're 6 months in now.
Well, before I say my final say and score,
No, just go to straight to final say and score. Don't nothing else.
okay. I guess my final say and score will probably be a 10 out of 10.
Oh, so you really liked it then. That's good.
Yes.
You're not going to add any more to that now? No, all right then. Let's go to Lee in Hull. I thought you were going to get beamed up for a minute then, Lee. I thought you were going to get abducted, but one can only hope, I suppose. Yes.
To answer Susan's wish, I've heard that Susan is going to return, but
Oh, don't what? No, don't wind her up.
There'll be a man named Keith. Because Susan can regenerate into a man apparently now. God help her husband and the kids. But there you go.
I'm all for it. I am. If Susan wants to be Keith, that's fine.
As I said before, a very lackluster episode. Over the top sexism. Capaldi, yeah, it just didn't seem to be wanting to be there. It was good. I did like the, when there was going about the Doctor of the One, you just saw the clips of the old Doctors. I thought that was a nice little touch. But and the Armistice Day football scenes and stuff like that was well shot. But for me, it didn't do anything for me. It just really annoyed me the way they treated the first Doctor in this. So it gets a 6.
Yeah, 6 is good. That's good. That's above average. For me, I have to say, because I haven't said this, but Mark Gatiss was really good in this. To be fair, he was really good in this. And I did like the fact, even though it was obvious, that he was a brigadier relation, great uncle or grandfather or whoever he's meant to be. He's a brigadier relation. So I did like that. David Bradley, I don't think the first Doctor was written great, but that's not David Bradley's fault. That's the writing's fault. So I have no problems with David Bradley whatsoever. David Bradley did the best he could, and I think he did do a good job. He wasn't Hartnell, but he isn't Hartnell. He isn't Hartnell. That's it. He's not Hartnell. He's there portraying the first Doctor, but he's not Hartnell playing the first Doctor. If you get what I mean, he's his own interpretation of the first Doctor. He's not playing Hartnell, so I'm okay with that. Yeah, like I've said, really, the episode there was a lot of talking. I think overall I'm going to go with Lee. I'm going to give it a 6. It's not the best Christmas special by any stretch, but it's definitely not the worst. It's definitely far better, because it's easy to forget that this is a Christmas special. It's way better than the Return of Dr. Mysterio or the Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe, or A Christmas Carol. Yeah, it's way. Actually, I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to give it a 9. I've just realised what Christmas specials come before. It's a 9 from me. So yeah, I'd like to thank everybody here for joining me. I'd like to thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, to follow our Twitter account, our Facebook and everything. And we hope you had a very Merry Christmas and have a brilliant New Year. And we will see you in 2018.